Hey people, I got some gold for you here. This channel showed up on my recommendations, and it's a British guy, and he's trying to teach you how to read modern French.
I'm going to teach you how to read French words without knowing any French.
So it's very helpful if you're trying to read modern French, but his history lesson is off. He thinks the English language came from the French. But when you see this E like this, if you replace it with an S, you can almost read the word. And this is state, and this is sponge, and this is squirrel. But what he's not getting is the French got it from the English, and this was actually the AE, and it was ash, and the English knew that this was pronounced S, and it's estate, and a sponge, and a squirrel. And then he gives another list of words and shows this other mark here. And it's about the same thing. You replace this with an S, an ash, A-E. And so it's the tempest, and the hostess, and the master, and the hospital. And the third one he teaches is this G-U. You just replace it with a W. This is war, and the warrior. And so somebody asked him last year, why his channel was so small, and it was really small last year. And it grew real fast. And the reason it grew real fast is because he's going along with the establishment. He's saying what the establishment told him to say. And I watched a couple more of his videos on the English language about silent letters. And I left him a couple of helpful hints so he'd better understand what's going on, because his history totally come from what the establishment told him. And so people ask me, why my channel isn't bigger. And it's because my viewers understand that the establishment has a reason to lie to them. They have a reason why they don't want them to know that this means from the menu. And this is from the menu. It comes up at the beginning in Genesis 1 and 2. It's spelled a little different in 1, but the first time it's spelled like this in 2, and you shall not eat at, they say at, no, from the menu, to a call from the menu, a call from menu, to eat at. That's where your word menu come from. It's the list of things that you can eat. If it's not on the menu, you can't have it, from the menu is what that means. Not at, on the menu is what it means. And you can see when it comes up in Genesis 3:11, after who told you was naked? You've been eating from the menu. You have a called from the menu, occult, A-C-L-T. And so occult, that's from the past. As an ED have a called, you have eaten from the past. But in the past, they used to have a thing called the occult, and they knew which things to eat that would open your eyes. And so when their eyes were opened, that's when they realized they were naked. And God knew this immediately. Once they knew they were naked, it's because they had done a called from the menu of the occult. And this word's similar to this word you see in Genesis 1:11, according to its kind. And this is the limb in 2. The LM is the limb in 2. It comes from its limb. And it's like the limb of a tree. From is what that means. Ancient knowledge. And you see a modern today, they have a tree of 40 fruit. And what they did, they had grafted 40 different types of stone fruit. Stone fruit is a fruit that's got a single hard pit in the center of it. Prune, the plum. They grafted 40 different kind of stone fruit limbs on this tree. And so the fruit is going to come from its limb. The limb in 2 is according to its kind. It's going to come off of its limb, the limb in 2. And when you're dealing with humans, it's the limb in who. And the one that rules, is, and the limb soul, the sun, the ruler. And the fish, of the waters, assures are its swim, S-W-E-M. The swim is, the lemon is. The limb of the swimmers, The X is the TS. And so it's the sort, S-O-R-T, and then S-W-E-M, the swimmin'. The swim is, the limb in is. The ones that are swimming. And the ones that are flying, they are what? Clap. The text says read the next word backwards, K-L-P, the clap to, and then the other way, to see up. The ones that clap to see up, they clap their hands and it makes them fly. The clap to see up. Can pull them in who? Can pull them in who? The limb in who? According to its kind. And then on the sixth day, the land creatures, they're the high limb in, and then read this H over here, the have, H-V-E, to have helma, to have blood, and the high limb in have blood, according to its kind, the living creatures. And then the creepy crawly things, are the worms, W-R-M-S, the worms which, W-C-H, the which it to, and then backwards, to share the earth. The worms which it to share the earth. The limb in, and then H in it, in who, yea, to let there be. To yea in backwards and forwards, in can. To yea in can. To let there be, yea, to let there be in can. You're going fishing, you dig up a bunch of worms, put them in the can. But everything according to this kind comes from this limb and this menu. And then the word that come before this from menu here in Jeremiah 20:10 is another one that they totally trying to hide, and it's income-tenue. Income-tenue. And tenue, they totally switched it. When I think of tenue, it means the plan of the day. What's on the tenue today? What you have to do today. And if you stop, when you start back to the things you have to do today, you continue. And this is a word they totally try to twist in every language. And it's because it's used in the Latin Bible and they didn't want people to know that's what it meant. But it's a mode, and that's close. A mode could be tenue, or the behavior, that's close. But they'll all say it come from the Latin tenuous, meaning weak or thin, faint or dim. They'll say that's where this old English thin come from, but it's not. It would need an extra E in here, or an I or something, because the first E is the H. But it'll be used in every language that they twisted this word to mean thin. But it doesn't. It means what's on the tenue of the day. And then you see the Q come up in both of these words. And so this N is reading with this income tenue from menu. Income the tenue in the plan of the day from menu. When that day comes, when comes his time, our revenge on him. And we will take our revenge on him is when fuck. QH is fuck. When fucking continue from menu. When the fucking continue from menu, yeah, that's the day I'm going to get my revenge on you. And so that's the ancient English way of saying to take revenge. When fucking continue the menu. When fucking come its time and on its tenue, in its position, in its place, what is I'm able to occur. When fucking continue from menu, I would be taking my revenge. And that's why all the old wrestlers, they would get naked before they fought. Because the loser, he was fixing to have to take it. And so if you read their translation, it really doesn't make any sense, because there's a lot of words they didn't want you to see in here. Because every man is to call the anus, A-N-U-S. For I heard mocking many fear on every side. Report, and we will report it, every man on my acquaintance, of my acquaintance. Watch for my stumbling. Perhaps he can be induced, and we will prevail against him when fucking continue from menu. So if you've been learning any Hebrew, ignore everything they told you about all the dots. Just know that what the letter meanings are. The 22 letter meanings is the main thing. And this is the key, K-I. And the K is the giving. And the I is the hand, the giving hand. And with the mark underneath, when you're reading the bottom marks, this is Kiki. And it meant the account keeper in Egypt. Kiki was the accounts keeper. But to give of the smutty, S-M-O-T-Y, to give smuttied of it, revise, R-V-I-S, revise. This is where your word rabbis come from. This will be the same spelling. And it's because the Jews don't understand how to read this. But to give the smuttied of revise, the count keeper, revising the smuttied of it, D-V-V-T, the smuttied of it, D-V-V-T, to give the smuttied of it, revise. Major from survive, survive, V-I-V, that's your base word for life, viva, from survive. The gay do, the dot underneath the G, the dot in the G says either two G's or read the vowel point. And a single is an A, and it means the G-A-Y. The gay do when gayed in two. The gay do when gayed in two. That means queering up. To cull anus. Anus, that's a medical term for butthole. And to cull, is to cull, the same as a cull. To eat means to collect anus. And this is where your Hebrew word for peace comes from, and it's actually the slum. The slummy summary. When it's all added up from the slum, the summary, it's TS, it's slay. It's slay when you take it. Take in the slummy summary. It's slay of A-V-L-I-L-Y, of lie. And then if, I-F-T-E-W, if to knuckle, N-U-K-L, if to knuckle Lou, he, she, or it. If to knuckle him when fucking continue from menu. So, I'm going to tell you it's illegal to say this in Mississippi. You cannot tell somebody you will beat them down and fuck them up the ass. It's going to cost you a chunk of money when the judge gets a hold of you. But, the kiki, the accounts keeper, the smuttied of it revised. He changed up the writings from the major, from survive. The major of what the accounts was, survive. The meaning was all in there, but it was revised. And the gay do when gay done too, cull anus. The slummy summaries, it's slay. The slummy summary, it's slay. It done slayed the slummy part of the writing. It's slay of lie. If to knuckle Lou when fucking continue from menu. And so I don't search through the Bible to find the most disgusting parts to make movies on, to teach the language. The whole Bible is written like this. Everywhere I look, it has something like this. I find it easy to read because I joined the Navy when I was young. I was on a boat full of men that all talk like this. That's what we told each other. You give my $20, I'm going to beat you down and fuck you up the ass. And it seems back in the day that when the priests knew how to read this is what they were writing about it, because they kept on writing the Bible. And it's all written the same. This is what they were all reading about and drinking and giggling about while they were feeding you a line of shit that people who couldn't read, they were too embarrassed to tell you what it actually said, what was actually going through their mind. And it makes me think that that's the first word in the Bible. Actually means to embarrass it. Embarrass it. It's embarrassing, but this is what it says. I run up to a lot of things that I want to read for you, but I'm embarrassed to let you know I even know what that means. But it's a lot more than just writing filth, you know. If you've been watching my stuff, you know this reads several times with different markings, and it says different things in here, and I even studied this. I just looked at this and just read off the top when I seen that I wanted to show you what the menu meant, you know, when continue from menu. And so I figured I better read the rest of this and put it in context. But yeah, it says a lot more than this. It reads a couple more times with all of these directional markings, and I haven't even tried to read it yet. But yeah, it wasn't just a bunch of dirty old men. They were really genius, because there's a lot more hidden in here. And I'll probably go back and try to read the other directional markings to see what it says after I get this posted. But I want to make this a easy one for everybody. But if you just find your ancient letter meaning chart and study the letter meanings and look at several charts, because some of the charts they leave stuff out, especially the Christian charts, they try to leave some stuff out, and whether they know it or they just don't know. And study the letter meanings, and then start breaking down words that you use every day and see how they fit in, because it's English. It comes from ancient English. And a lot of them, if you read them backwards and forwards, it'll make a lot more sense. It'll give the entire definition of the word. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.